Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com, now powered by lineups.com. Little rebranding here for our websites, but I'm still here bringing you the show. Nate Weitzer flying solo for a few days with my pal Josh Lander on a little paternity leave. So bless up for him and his family. We're looking at game 3 here, Thunder at Wolves, coming right off the game 2 last night as I record here on Friday morning. Nice night, 4-2 overall for the picks. That was the last show with Josh. We went 3-1 in the player props. That is our bread and butter. So we're going to bring you 3 player props here. One game pick that I do feel good about as well here for game 3. Like and subscribe to the video. You'll see each time we put out a video through the rest of the conference finals into the NBA finals as we move along here with lineups and the lines. Game 1 was rough for Anthony Edwards. Game 2, much more aggressive, and he punctured that OKC defense, which is what everyone was calling for after game 1. Only 7 drives game 1, just not aggressive. Julius Randle took on a much bigger onus in that first game. Randle was benched almost the entire second half in game 2, and Anthony Edwards drove the bus, 19 drives versus Randle's 6. We're still only talking about 1 assist on the drives on each game here, but 8 passes versus 3 in game 2. And he had 6 assists on 13 potentials in game 2, 65 passes. There's just not really a secondary playmaker for the Wolves other than Mike Conley, who is actually putting up pretty good net rating numbers when he's out there, but he only plays about half the game at this point in his career. Worry about him getting hunted on defense. Really worry about Dante DiVincenzo on defense if you're the Wolves, who's kind of their backup point guard. So it really falls on Ant to drive the bus. Like I'm saying, that's where you get the assist. That's why you get 5+ assists at a -166 probability. So all we need is for the rebounds to keep falling his way, and they have been. He has the best rebound chance rate on the squad so far this series. With about the most rebound chances because Gobert's playing time sporadic. Like I said, Randle's been out in the regular season against OKC. They played 3 times in February. Edwards, 10 rebounds, 7.3 assists. He grabbed 10 of 15 rebound chances per game because he was often just playing with Naz Reid at the 5. Had to get down there. Randle and Gobert were out with injuries. This is kind of a situation where it's just a wing series. Like, you got to be I'm fading centers in general. I know they might be in and out here, but they're not as consistent playing time, obviously, as the main guy for the Wolves. And when he jumps, like, OKC just does not even contest. Of these rebounds in the series so far, 11% have been contested. It's just like he's the best leaper by far. So when he goes up and says, "This is my board," it is his board. That's why he had 9 rebounds last game. I believe both games this series. And I mean, he's averaged 15 RA after the 3 losses this postseason, including last game when he had 9 and 6. He averaged 16.6 RA in the Western Conference Finals last year against Dallas. I've often drawn comparisons between Dallas and OKC, the way they defend, and tried to force the ball out of his hands constantly and pinch down and make guys hit shots. And I think those guys will be hitting corner threes more often off advanced passes. He's a bit unlucky with the potential assists. So that's still solid. He did get 14 potential assists per game in the regular season against OKC in those matchups. And yeah, we're looking at 13 potentials coming off last game. So pretty good number for Anthony Edwards as far as his production besides the scoring. And it's kind of correlated to what we're talking about, guys hitting corner threes, hitting wing threes. That's why I like Nickeil Alexander-Walker to get 7.5 points. You can still find it at 6.5, but the odds are better. Move it up to 8. And the odds are definitely good for him to hit 2 threes. And it's really just a matter of playing time for me. It's about the fact that Dante DiVincenzo was pretty much food for Shea in the last game. And he was a -27, DiVincenzo. Shea was like, "Get this guy on me." And then I am just absolutely workout time, just off the glass, not bothered at all. DiVincenzo's been struggling with his shot on the other end. So I don't know why Finch is going to really stick with him too much. He's going to play, but you got to play Na more. When you look at this lineup data in 2 games, any lineup with Na, or the top lineup with Na and DiVincenzo on the floor together is -68.5 net in 11 minutes. With Na and Jaden McDaniels instead of DiVincenzo, it is +15 net in 6 minutes. You put DiVincenzo and Gobert on the floor together for the Wolves, they have a 38 offensive rating in the series. You put Na, I mean, you look at any of their 6 top 3-man lineups in the series, 5 of them have Alexander Walker at this point, in a small sample size, of course, but those are also all plus 26 net or better when you get Nah out there. He's still struggled to guard his cousin, as we've seen, but he does a better job than DiVincenzo for sure. The top combo, by the way, in that offensive rating with DiVincenzo has a 137 defensive rating, which points to him getting picked on. Defensively, Nah is a much better individual defender. He's done a pretty good job, like I said. And so that kind of guarantees him more minutes. I mean, he's been about 25 in each game. He shot 5 for 13 from three. So he's looking to hoist. In game one, the whole catch and shoot regression happened for the Wolves from game one to game two. Now jumped from 25% on catch and shoots to 67% hit 2 or 3. And he only hit 2 threes on his catch and shoots. Actually was pretty good attacking the basket, which is why you might prefer the points over just depending on these threes, although the threes get you like plus 125, as well as Jaden McDaniels, who we hit last game, about plus 120 on hitting 2 threes. And those guys are both just getting left open in the corner, dared to shoot every time Anthony Edwards drives. So these are correlated that we're talking about them just being the trigger man. And they did not hesitate. Like they were just pulling anytime they got the opportunity. That's how OKC defends. These guys both, especially Nah, have the lowest pass and assist rate on the team besides Rudy Gobert. So he's not looking to play make necessarily. He's trying to get some buckets, match his cousin a little bit, keep the Wolves in the game. And I think he carries a little bit of momentum over from that fourth quarter. He had 11 points in the fourth last time out. I don't think that's fool's gold. I think that the Wolves were looking for something to carry over, to find a positive after getting smoked in OKC basically in the first two, to be like, all right, now we're coming back home. We got a good energy guy in Nah to lean on a little bit more. The under, we're taking Isaiah Hartenstein here, 18.5 PRA. Originally, I was thinking just 10.5 points and assists. You get a better price if you add these 8 rebounds. I don't think he's really a super big threat for 9+ rebounds when you consider he's only played 23 minutes in the series. You look at his last 4 down the stretch, even against Jokic in that series, with J-Dub playing much better. The Thunder, therefore, more willing to play him at the 4 and Chet at the 5. And the last 4 for Hartenstein, just 9 points, 6.5 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 22 minutes. And not a good rebound chance rate in general, only to get those 6.5 rebounds on about 13 chances. We're up to 15 chances in this series, but only a 42% conversion rate on the rebounds because, like I said, it's kind of a wing series. Like there's just so many athletic dudes around and these rebounds are bouncing sort of erratically. It's not a traditional, like the center's going to collect all the boards. And the thing is, Lou Dort played 39 minutes last game, guarding Anthony Edwards, guarding Julius Randle when he's out there. So if Dort's out there and the other 3 guys are playing as well as they did with Chet and J-Dub in support, who are you pulling off the floor? If you're Mark Dagnall, you're pulling Hartenstein off as soon as you can to get Caruso out there because the series, it gets smaller with every game. The Wolves are going smaller because Randall and Gobert are struggling. And therefore, you got to match with guys like Caruso, Cason Wallace, even Aaron Wiggins, like all those wings that he can go to. And they're not Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't think they're worried about Rudy Gobert playing more and that they'd be like, oh, we got to counter with more iHeart. In fact, they're like, great, we'll play Chet at the 5 and he will roast you, Rudy Gobert. And that's exactly what happened in game 2. Rudy up to 30 minutes. Chet advantages everywhere, scored a bunch of points. So I don't think that that's a big threat for iHeart playing more. And when he's out there, like the assist data is just pretty telling. Like, I mean, we're talking minus 180 probability that he doesn't get 3 dimes here. He's at 2 assists on 3 potential total in the series. That's a 4% assist to pass ratio. You look at his 2 assists that he got last game. One was on the first bucket of the game on a nice high-low. The second was like complete home cooking scoring. He passed it to Shea. Shea took 3.5 dribbles and took a step back. And they're like, yeah, that's an assist. So I mean, we've looked at this since the second half of the season. He's more of a facilitator from the elbow. He gives these handoffs. He's not in prime position to get a lot of dimes. And I guess if you're worried about the points, it would be the fact that he can catch a dunk. The Wolves are number 1 limiting paint points at home in the playoffs. And they did a much better job in game 2 than they did in game 1 because they played a little more zone, because they played more Gobert, not giving up the dunker. iHeart had 10 of his 12 points in the first half of game 1 when the Wolves were just kind of a little discombobulated defensively, a little rusty on that end of the floor. And since then, they've been pretty good, aside from SGA and J-Dub. who roasted them in that last game. But I don't think they're going to have these breakdowns to let iHeart just get dunks. And therefore, I'm willing to fade the whole package. So let's get one game pick in here. And I do like the Wolves in the second quarter of this game. And you get plus money for them to either tie it, win it. You get plus 104 for them to win it at the moment. And there's like an alternative market to look at as well, where plus 110 or plus 115 for them to be the first to 10 or 15 points. You see the race to X points in the quarter market on certain books. I think that's pretty good value because the Thunder are going to be most vulnerable when SGA is on the bench, and he sits out the first half of the second quarter. He's averaging 7 minutes in the second quarter of the series. He's only shooting 35% in the second quarter in these playoffs. Once he gets back in there, he's only +1 in terms of his plus minus in road games. And I mean, the Thunder in general in the first half in these playoffs are +93 with SGA on the floor, +3 without him. The opponent is scoring 27.5 in the second quarter versus 24.5 in the first against the Thunder. And home road stuff, big here. Thunder in 5 road games, 103 offensive rating in the second quarter. They are -12 net compared to +30 net with a 128 offensive rating at home. Thunder up, big crowd, role players play better, etc. They score 7 more points per game in the second quarter at home. Wolves don't have the same kind of splits to point at in this small sample of the playoffs, but this is absolute desperation time. I think there will be people looking at first quarter, first half stuff for the Wolves, but for me, I'm just still scared of the fact that they can't stop SGA. So I would rather attack a quarter where I know he's going to be off the floor, even if that means Ant Edwards might be off the floor for a little bit too, and just say this is where the home team has an advantage, where these role players feel more confident. That the bench did start to find themselves in that second quarter in OKC, played them pretty well. Overall, they averaged 33.5 in the second quarter in the 2 home games against OKC this season and split the second quarters overall. But in this spot, I look for the Wolves to try to hit the burners there. I'm still not comfortable taking them for the game, like I said, because OKC has been a monster in the third quarter, all playoffs, as they kind of find their footing. But I think this is the one spot you can isolate where you say SGA is maybe out of the game and the Wolves can get a little bit of advantage. But that is all the time we have for you here today. Please like and subscribe to the video. Follow along. Next week, we will be back with some more conference finals action through the NBA playoffs. And until we see you next, happy betting.